she spent our anniversary with her ex. And tweeted, "I don't owe anyone an explanation." That was the moment I stopped recognizing the woman I'd been building a future with. I waited alone that night, thinking maybe she'd come home, maybe she'd say sorry, maybe she still cared. But instead, she logged on and made a statement to the world, while I sat in silence wondering how we got here. No warning, no apology, just a tweet and a message I was never meant to miss, so I gave her exactly what she asked for. No more explanations, no more waiting. I packed her bags, changed the locks, and posted my own response. It wasn't to get even, it was to finally choose myself, because sometimes the loudest truth is found in the quietest decision, and when love turns into silence, you don't chase it. You walk away with your dignity still intact. This is how it ended and how I finally found peace. It was the night before our anniversary. We'd talked about plans a few weeks earlier, nothing big. Just a quiet dinner at home, maybe a late movie, just the two of us. It was our thing. Every year we made time. No matter how busy or stressed or tired we were, we paused the world for one evening and just remembered why we were doing this in the first place. But this year felt different before it even started. She'd been distant for weeks, less present, less affectionate, not cold, exactly, just distracted, like her mind was somewhere else, or with someone else. Still, I tried to ignore it, told myself not to be paranoid. Relationships go through seasons, maybe she was just overwhelmed. Work had been hectic for both of us. I figured the anniversary would be a good reset. Then, the day before, she dropped it. "Hey," she said casually, not even making eye contact, "I might be late tomorrow night. I'm grabbing dinner with a friend from college who's in town." I blinked. "Tomorrow night?" I asked. "That's our anniversary." She shrugged, like she forgot. "Yeah, I know, but it's the only night he's free. We can still do something later. It's not a big deal, right?" And there it was. That word, he dotted, felt like a small punch. I tried to keep my tone even. "Wait, who exactly is this friend?" She hesitated, just for a second, then said, "You remember Kyle, my ex from college? We're just catching up." My jaw tightened before I could stop it. "You're having dinner with your ex on our anniversary?" She gave me this look like, "Why are you making this a thing?" And honestly, I hated that I was even in this situation, because I didn't want to be the insecure guy, the jealous boyfriend. But come on, what kind of person thinks that's okay? I said, "Why not pick another night? Or lunch?" "Why our night?" she said. "Because that's when he's free. I'm not canceling plans with someone just because we used to date. That was years ago, and maybe that's what cut the deepest. Not the fact that she was seeing her ex, but that she was willing to sacrifice us to make space for him." I didn't yell, I didn't argue, I just went quiet. She hated when I did that. She called it stonewalling, said I should talk more. But honestly, I was just trying not to say something I couldn't take back. Eventually I said, "Do whatever you want." She replied, "Don't be like that, it's just dinner with a friend." And then she walked out of the room like the conversation was over. Like she'd just explained everything and there was nothing left to discuss. But there was a lot. Because, for me, this wasn't just about a dinner. It was about what that dinner represented. About how easy it was for her to choose him over me. About how our anniversary hour one night suddenly meant nothing. That night, I lay awake thinking about all the times I'd made sacrifices for her, missed out on things, changed plans, skipped out on nights with friends. Not because she asked me to, but because I wanted her to feel important. Because when you love someone, you make them a priority. I guess I just expected the same in return. The next morning, she acted normal. Smiled at me, kissed my cheek on her way out, told me she'd text when she was on her way back. I wanted to believe that maybe she had thought it through. Maybe she'd cancelled, maybe she'd realized what this meant, but she didn't. That night, I cooked dinner, alone. Set the table, poured 2 glasses of wine, sat down and waited. No message, no call, nothing. So I opened Twitter. That's when I saw her tweet. "I don't owe anyone an explanation." Just 7 words, but they said everything I needed to know. Because I wasn't anyone. I was the person she was supposed to be building something with. I was the person waiting at home while she laughed with someone she used to love, and she was right. She didn't owe me an explanation. Not anymore, because I'd finally heard her loud and clear, and I was done waiting for someone who didn't mind watching me sit alone on the night we were supposed to celebrate us. She said it was just dinner with a friend, but deep down, I knew it was the beginning of the end. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal, or the fact that I saw it coming and still hoped I was wrong. That night, I didn't even try to play it cool. I didn't go out, didn't distract myself. I stayed home. I cooked. I lit a candle. I set the table for 2. Like some part of me still believed she'd change her mind and walk through the door smiling like nothing had happened. Like she remembered what we were supposed to be to each other, but she didn't. 7 o'clock passed. Then 8. Then 9. No message, no call. Not even a quick "Hey, running late." Just silence. The kind of silence that fills every room like smoke. Heavy, slow, lingering. I sat there, staring at my phone like an idiot. I kept unlocking it, refreshing our texts, waiting for her name to pop up. And with every minute that passed, I could feel this tightness building in my chest. Not anger. Not even jealousy at first. Just this deep, cold sadness because I knew exactly where she was, laughing with him. The guy who used to be everything to her. The guy whose name still carried weight, whether she wanted to admit it or not. I could picture them sitting across from each other, sharing memories, drinks, maybe even little moments I hadn't seen from her in months. That effortless warmth. That energy. And I hated that those thoughts even existed in my head. But what else was I supposed to think? She didn't just leave me alone on our anniversary, she chose someone else instead. She chose him. And yeah, maybe it really was just dinner. Maybe she didn't cross a line physically. But emotionally, I was already standing on the other side of a wall I didn't know she'd been building. At around 9:30, I opened her Twitter and there it was. A photo of her drink. Some fancy glass with a stupid caption, catching up with good people. Good people. The timing made it obvious. She was still there, still with him, still posting like nothing was wrong, like I didn't exist. Like this wasn't the exact night she was supposed to be with me, and people were replying yeses. Treat yourself. Exes can be friends. I love this. You don't owe anyone your time. It felt like I was being erased in real time, like the internet was co-signing her decision to leave me behind for the night, encouraging it, applauding it. Meanwhile, I was sitting in a room that felt colder with every second she stayed gone. At some point I poured out the wine, put the food in the fridge, blew out the candle. I couldn't even look at the table anymore. And that's when it started to shift. The sadness turned into something else. Anger. Yeah, but not just at her, at myself, because this wasn't the first time she made me feel small. This wasn't the first time I came second to her mood, her plans, her phone. I just kept brushing it off, kept telling myself it would pass, that she loved me, that people grow and relationships change and maybe we were just in a weird phase, but it wasn't a phase, it was a pattern. And I had been excusing it, absorbing the hurt so we wouldn't have to fight, staying silent so I wouldn't be controlling, telling myself not to be insecure when everything about her behavior screamed you're not a priority anymore. I remember checking the time, again 10:17 p.m. That's when it hit me. If she wanted to be here, she would be. It's not like she forgot. She chose to spend this night elsewhere, and even worse, she broadcasted it. She wanted the world to see how unbothered she was, how free, how unapologetic. And somewhere in all of that, she stopped caring about what it made me feel. I don't think she was trying to hurt me on purpose. I think that's what makes it worse. She didn't even consider that it would, and maybe that's the clearest sign of all. I didn't matter the way I used to. I sat in the dark for a while just thinking about the way things used to be between us, the little traditions, the inside jokes, the random late-night drives for no reason. One missed those days more than I missed her in that moment, and that scared me because when you start grieving the relationship while you're still in it, you already know it's dying. She didn't get back until late, really late, and when she walked in laughing softly to herself, I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. She looked surprised to see me awake, like she expected me to be asleep or gone. She said, "Hey, I didn't think you'd wait up." I nodded. Yeah, I noticed. She didn't apologize, didn't explain, just went into the bedroom and started getting ready for bed like it was any other night. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about tonight. This was about the quiet way someone can stop loving you, one decision at a time, and the louder truth I could no longer ignore. She didn't feel sorry, she just didn't care. The next morning I woke up before her. She was still asleep, curled up under the blanket like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't left me sitting alone on our anniversary while she shared drinks and memories with the guy she used to love. Her phone was on the nightstand, screen dimmed but still glowing with notifications. Twitter, Instagram, likes, comments, retweets. The world cheering her on like she'd just claimed some kind of personal victory. I didn't touch it. I didn't have to because I already knew what she posted. I'd seen it before I fell asleep. I don't owe anyone an explanation. 7 words, sharp enough to cut, cold enough to leave a bruise. No tag, no mention, no context. Just the kind of statement that feels powerful until you realize who it's actually aimed at. Me. She didn't say it directly, but everyone knew. Her followers, our mutual friends, even people who didn't know us, they could read between the lines. And the replies, they were wild. She's so real for this. Queen energy. Men don't deserve honesty anyway. And I sat there in bed, staring at the wall thinking, how did we get here? How did something that started with soft smiles and shared playlists end up like this? Strangers living under the same roof, one of us tweeting for validation while the other sat in silence, quietly breaking. That morning, she got up, stretched, scrolled through her notifications like nothing was wrong. I didn't say a word. I made coffee, went about my routine and waited to see if she'd say something. Acknowledgement maybe, some kind of apology, even just a hey, I know last night wasn't fair. But no, she just said, I've got a few errands, might be gone most of the day. And just like that she was gone again. She'd spent the night with her past. Now she was spending the morning pretending her present didn't exist. I watched her walk out the door, then looked around the apartment at the photos still hanging up, the couch we used to cuddle on, the space that used to feel like ours. And that's when it hit me. I was done explaining myself to someone who didn't want to listen. Done waiting for her to remember the version of us that mattered. Done staying quiet while she told the world her side, without ever once asking what it was like on mine. So I picked up my phone, opened Twitter. I thought about writing something emotional, something long and detailed, telling the full truth. But then I remembered her tone, her words, that cold tweet like a mic drop she thought would leave me stunned, so I kept it simple. I retweeted her post. I don't owe anyone an explanation. And I added 6 words. Neither do I pack your things. Then I attached a photo. It was a quiet shot, her bags by the door neatly lined up. Nothing dramatic, nothing broken or thrown around. Just closure zipped and folded, and I hit post. At first I just sat there staring at it, wondering if I'd regret it, if I'd crossed a line. But then I watched the notifications roll in. Retweets, likes, replies. Not just from strangers, but from people who knew us, people who'd seen us together, people who once said we were the perfect couple. Some said I was petty, some said I was right. But I wasn't looking for anyone's approval. I didn't need the internet to agree with me. Just needed her to understand what silence sounds like when it's finally returned. I turned off my phone after that, sat on the couch, no music, no TV, just me, breathing finally, in a space that didn't feel like a performance anymore. She didn't come back until that evening. I heard the key turn, then stop, then try again. Nothing. She knocked once, then again. I opened the door halfway. Her face was flushed, confused. "What's going on?" she asked. I didn't smile, didn't yell, just said, "Check your Twitter." She pulled out her phone, scrolled, and read it. I watched her expression change. Shock, disbelief, and then something else. Maybe recognition, maybe guilt, or maybe just the realization that this time, I didn't sit quietly and wait. She looked at the bags beside her, then back at me. "You're serious?" he whispered. I nodded. "You don't want to talk about this?" I said. "You didn't want to talk about it yesterday." She looked down. "You really did all this over a tweet?" And I laughed just once. Not because it was funny, but because she still didn't get it. "No," I said. "I did all this because I spent the last year trying to love someone who was slowly walking away from me while pretending she wasn't." She didn't say anything after that. She picked up her bags and I closed the door. No yelling, no drama, just a tweet, a photo, and a final line. Neither do I. I wasn't trying to humiliate her. Let me just say that first. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about being petty or trying to get even. It was about finally choosing peace over chaos. Because when you've been slowly disappearing in a relationship, sometimes the only way to be seen again is to walk away. That day, after I posted the tweet, I didn't go online again. I left my phone on the dresser. No scrolling, no refreshing. I didn't care what people were saying anymore. I'd said my piece. I just wanted to sit in the stillness of a decision that finally felt honest. And packing her things. That wasn't a moment of anger. That was a moment of clarity. I folded her clothes neatly, separated her shoes, found the box for her skincare stuff, the bag for her books. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I was trying to be done. It felt strange doing something so final in a place we once built together. This was our apartment, our space. I still remembered how excited she was when we first moved in. She picked out the curtains. I mounted the TV. We argued about which side of the bed to sleep on. Now I was clearing out her side, like it had never belonged to her at all. The lock was the last thing. I changed it with shaking hands. Not because I was scared, but because part of me still hoped she'd come back, knock on the door, and ask for one more chance. But I couldn't give her one. Not anymore. Because the version of us I loved didn't exist anymore. She'd chipped away at it, piece by piece, with every time she ignored me. Every time she shared herself with strangers instead of with me. And when she chose her ex over me on the one night that was supposed to be ours, I finally believed her. She was done. She just didn't want to say it out loud, but I heard her, loud and clear. She came back that evening. I was in the kitchen. The knock was soft at first, then louder, then a pause, like she was trying to figure out what was going on. When I opened the door, she didn't say anything at first. She just stared. Her eyes went to the bags on the ground, then to my face. What is this?" I didn't move. "You don't live here anymore." Her expression twisted. "You can't be serious." "I am. You really locked me out. You locked yourself out when you walked away from us." She stepped back like the words hit her. "This is over a tweet." I shook my head. "No. This is over every moment you made me feel small and invisible. That tweet was just the final straw." She crossed her arms. "You think I haven't felt alone in this relationship too? They got to me?" I nodded. "Maybe you have, and maybe I missed it. But the difference is, I kept trying. You started posting." She didn't know what to say to that. I could see it all over her face. She wanted to argue, but the truth was settling in. She didn't expect me to actually follow through. She thought I'd be angry, maybe even cry. She thought I'd leave the door open, but I didn't, and that scared her. She tried one last time. "Can we talk about this inside?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time I didn't feel love or hate. I just felt tired. "You talked online. You made your feelings public. This is me answering publicly." She stared at me, then looked down at her bags. There were no more words after that. She picked them up, one at a time, awkward, heavy. I didn't help, not because I wanted her to struggle but because it wasn't my job. Anymore. She walked down the hallway without looking back, and as I closed the door, I stood there for a moment, just breathing. It was quiet, really quiet, and for the first time in a long time it didn't feel empty. It felt like closure. Because I didn't yell, I didn't beg, I didn't chase, I just let go. She came back to a locked door and packed bags, and she left knowing I meant every word. I didn't expect peace to feel so quiet. Not the kind of quiet that makes you feel alone. The kind that feels earned, like finally exhaling after holding your breath for too long. It's strange how something as small as a locked door or a packed bag can feel like a turning point. But it was because when she walked away that day, carrying everything that used to be ours, I realized I wasn't losing anything anymore. I was finally letting go of what had already left me a long time ago. People kept asking questions. Her friends messaged me. One of them actually said, "You could have handled this more privately." Another told me, "She's hurting. You didn't have to embarrass her." And all I could think was, where were all these people when I was hurting, when I was sitting alone on our anniversary, when I was reading her tweets instead of hearing her voice, when I was making space for her in my life, while she was shrinking mine in hers? I didn't owe them anything. I didn't owe her anything anymore either. Not another conversation, not another chance, not another explanation. Because when someone shows you over and over that they no longer value your presence, the most powerful thing you can do is stop explaining why you deserve better. Just live like you already know. And I do now. I really do. You see, closure isn't always a long dramatic conversation where you both cry and say everything that's been left unsaid. Sometimes closure is quieter. It's in the way you stop checking your phone, stop rereading the messages, stop hoping they'll show up with the version of themselves you kept waiting for. Closure came to me in small ways. In making coffee the next morning and realizing I didn't have to guess who she was texting, in sitting on the couch without tension hanging in the air like some invisible weight, in knowing that if someone truly wanted to be in your life, you'd never have to beg them to stay. For the first time in months, I started doing things for myself again. I went for walks without needing to report where I was going. I reconnected with friends I'd quietly pulled away from because I was too busy putting energy into something that wasn't being returned. I slept, like really slept. Not with one eye open, waiting for the sound of the door, wondering when she'd come home. And no, it wasn't easy. Healing never is. There were still nights when the silence felt a little too loud, when I missed the sound of her laugh, even if it hadn't been meant for me in a long time. There were still memories that tried to crawl back in. The first trip we took, the way she used to fall asleep on my chest, the playlists we made together. But every time I remembered what we had, I forced myself to also remember how it ended, how it felt to be chosen last, how it felt to be unheard, how it felt to be in love with someone who only loved the version of me that stayed quiet, because that's not love, that's convenience, and I'm done being convenient now. When I think about her, I don't feel hate. I don't wish her the worst. Honestly, I hope she finds what she's looking for. I really do, but she won't find it in half-truths and filtered posts. She won't find it in attention from people who only see one side. She won't find it in silence disguised as strength. As for me, I've found something better than closure. I've found clarity. Clarity in knowing I showed up. Clarity in knowing I loved deeply, gave honestly, and walked away without bitterness. Clarity in knowing that sometimes losing someone is exactly what you need to find yourself again. So no, I don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for locking the door, not for packing her things, not for tweeting back, not for choosing peace over potential. I owe myself the life I almost forgot I deserved. And this time, I'm not apologizing for finally choosing it.